From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, bandits sack village, kill 15 people in Taraba as troops neutralize 5 bandits in Kaduna State. DSS Police Joint Task Force arrests Eze Igbo, who threatened to invite IPOB to Lagos. Abdullahi Ganduje and Governor-elect differ over loan advisory. And on the foreign scene, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris pledges $7 billion climate aid for Africa. Hello and welcome to Trust TV's News Hour. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Gunmen numbering over 60 on Friday invaded Garimbaka village in Ardokola local government area of Taraba State and killed more than 15 people. It was gathered that the gunmen came into the village from their den located on top of a mountain at about 7:30 p.m. and opened fire from all directions. It was further gathered that the gunmen set houses on fire, rustled cows, and also looted shops and warehouses. A resident, Yakubu Garuba, said when the attackers came, many of the villagers were praying inside the mosque, adding that prayers were halted due to the pandemonium that broke out in the village as residents ran for their lives. Garuba said some of the residents escaped into a nearby forest, adding that 2 of his family members were among those killed during the attack. Spokesperson of the Taraba Police Command, Usman Abdullahi, confirmed the attack but could not give the actual figure of those killed because, according to him, an official report of the incident was still being awaited from Sumkani Police Division. Daily Trust reporter in Taraba State, Magaji Hunkui, gives us an update on the attack.
Gunmen numbering about 60 invaded one village called Garimbaka in Adoko local government around 7:30 yesterday night. And they killed over 20 people. And burned many houses. As I'm talking to you, the village is deserted. But police and soldiers were drafted to the village. Normalcy has returned because security men, including police and soldiers, were drafted to the village. But the residents get away, and in fact, there's nobody in the village now, only the security. And the attackers came down from a mountain close to the village. And a source from the area said the government, they are more than 300 or 400. And they use that place as their operational base. And they are the very government that attacked part of Jalingo in recent time. Federal of Police, Usman Abdullahi, told me that confirmed the attack, but he said they don't have the actual number of people that are killed. They are still expecting a report from the Sultani Police Division. Yes, that is so far. That is what I can tell you. But I don't know whether the resident will start coming back to the village. But I can assure you that the attackers burned down most of the houses in the village, and they even rescued some animals, including cows and goats, and then looted some shops and warehouses where foodstuff are stored.
Meanwhile, troops of 1 Division Nigerian Army operating in Chukun local government area of Kaduna State say they have killed 5 bandits and recovered 4 AK-47 rifles. Acting Deputy Director, Army Public Relations, 1 Division Nigerian Army, Lieutenant Colonel Musa Yahya disclosed this in a statement on Friday in Kaduna. Yahya said in continuation of the onslaught against bandits and other criminal elements terrorizing the northwestern part of the country, the troops operating in Chukun local government area of Kaduna State conducted clearance operations on the Kanti-Tantatu Road in Kabusu Forest and the Kaso Hills General Area in Kaduna State. The commanding officer, 1 Division Nigerian Army and Force Commander Joint Task Force Operation Whirl Punch Major General Taurid Lagbaja, expressed satisfaction with the conduct of the troops and commended their commitment and resilience during the operation. He also urged citizens to continue to support the troops and other security agencies with credible and actionable information that will assist in the fight against the criminal elements. And 1 year after the sad event, victims of the Abuja-Kaduna train attack are still battling with health challenges, trauma, and are unable to cater for themselves, as many of them lost their source of livelihood while in captivity. In this report, Trust TV's Bello Musa spoke to some of the victims who narrate their ordeal 1 year after the attack. According to them, life has not been the same since their return.
I don't know, that was at the moment they shot my brother. He screamed. When he screamed, then everybody started coming out from where he died. He didn't die. They shot him on his feet. I was shot here, and then there was a bullet that passed through here, my hands, everything was blood.
Jesse John was among the passengers kidnapped by terrorists on Abuja-Kaduna train on 28 March last year. They said they are still living with the trauma and other health challenges and left alone to take care of medical bills.
2 days of taking medication from the hospital they took us. I've not taken anything up to this moment. No one has ever checked me except my family and the people I call a family too. People that actually got my back.
And then even the treatment that were given to us by the government after our release, I felt like it wasn't efficient enough. So I was still having some sickness in me, like I wasn't feeling too good. I was pale, weak, and experiencing some health challenges.
They said life is biting hard on them as they find it difficult to meet basic demands, but depending on relatives and friends to survive.
Because at the moment, I can remember a few weeks back where all of us are crying because since we are released, things change. We are no more the way, like we don't live our life the way we used to be before at all. And now I'm home, doing nothing. So I'm just home. I'm doing nothing. I'm just surviving by the God's grace.
I never expected anything from the government. If it comes, fine. If it doesn't, still fine. I felt abandoned. Yeah, I feel that way. I actually feel that way. I felt like I don't have a right to my own country.
I have a lot of people, but when I came back, I lost a lot of things. There is a project that I'm doing. Before I came back, the project was assigned to another one, to another NGO. So I lost.
Peace Benjamin's education was disrupted after she was abducted, though she wants to further her education.
Yes, I also have the financial challenges for everything because even my school, I still need I need finances to further my school because things are, like I said, my family have been going through some kind of financial challenges, and that was why I was here, and that was why I think I was involved in this. I was around to involve in this cruel accident. Yes, but I just hope that I find assistance. I don't know.
Several months after these victims were released by the terrorists, they seem to have lost hope from authorities, but believing girls' intervention will come. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
And now to Zamfara State, where the police said they have arrested a wanted suspected terrorist and cattle rustlers who have been terrorizing residents of the state. The command's public relations officer, Muhammad Shehu, who paraded the suspects on behalf of the Commissioner of Police, Kolo Yusuf, disclosed that its operatives also arrested 17 suspects in connection with the post-election violence which resulted in looting of assets and vandalizing of public, private and individual properties in the state. The report.
The Zamfara State Police Command, in its quest to eliminate crimes, had apprehended 20 suspects, including a terrorist who has been on their most wanted list. The suspected terrorist, identified as 25-year-old Suleiman Balarabe, who specialized in banditry and kidnapping of innocent persons, was arrested on 29 March by police operatives who acted on credible intelligence. The police image maker in the state, Mohammed Shehu, told journalists that police operatives nabbed 3 suspected cattle rustlers and intercepted 3 Toyota buses loaded with suspected stolen cows, sheep, and goat from the Dansado community in Maru local government of the state, Iro to Gusau, the state capital, on Friday, 31st March.
In the course of investigation, the notorious bandit confessed of series of attacks and kidnapping on different communities in Zamfara state, where millions of naira collected as a ransom from the relations. The suspect, who further confessed of bearing GPMG rifle during their operations, mentioned some of his allies, which the police detectives is working assiduously to arrest.
SP Mohammed Shehu said under the leadership of CP Kolo Yusuf, the police also arrested 17 suspects who were said to have engaged in looting and vandalizing of public, private, and individuals' properties across the state shortly after the announcement of the winner of the governorship elections. The arrest of the 17 suspects brings the total of those arrested in connection with the incident to 57. Some of them had confessed to having taken part directly or indirectly in the act.
The police detectives, personally being led by the Commissioner of Police, succeeded in the arrest of additional 17 suspects and the recovery of exhibits in connection with the case. It could be recalled that the command had earlier arrested 40 suspects and recovered some of the looted and vandalized property worth millions of naira, which were showcased to the press and later charged to court and remanded in prison.
Items recovered from the suspect included 18 cows, 3 goat, 1 sheep, 2 generators, refrigerators, doors, windows, tables, chairs, and electric wires. Others are different calibers of electronics set. Others are different calibers of electronics, set of cushion chairs, pieces of female wrappers, burglary proof for windows, and columns iron.
And still talking security, the joint forces of the Nigerian troops have repelled an attack of the Islamic State West Africa Province terrorists on a police outpost in Jakana in Kaga local government area of Borno State. A counterinsurgency expert and security analyst in the Lake Chad region, Zagazola Makama, had earlier raised an alarm after about 6 motorcycles, conveying 2 fighters each, dispatched from Jaluri and headed to Kaga through Markuba. Intelligence sources told Makama that the attack on the police station began at about 2:30 a.m. when the terrorists mounted their GPMG and began shooting sporadically at the police. The sources said that the police stationed at the unit swiftly responded, resulting in a heavy gun battle with the troops deployed to protect the community, which lasted for about 30 minutes. He said the troops of the 29 Task Force Brigade Fighting Patrol were dispatched to the scene and assisted the police in fierce repulsion and overwhelmed the terrorists, forcing them to flee. And the Eze Igbo of Ajao Estate in Lagos, Frederick Mwajagu, has been nabbed in a midnight raid by the Nigeria Police and the Department of State Services. Mwajagu was arrested by a combined team of the police and DSS in the early hours of Saturday. A police source revealed that when the team stormed his palace, he had fled, but was eventually traced to a hotel in Ejigbo, where he was arrested at 1 a.m. He is currently in the custody of the DSS. The Eze on Friday vowed to invite members of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra to Lagos to secure properties of Igbo people in the state. Mwajagu, in a 49-second video shared on Twitter on Friday, said the move became necessary in the wake of attacks on some Igbo people in the state. The Igbo leader said he stood by his words, insisting that his people must take a stand in Lagos. And human rights lawyers in the country have called on Nigerians not to allow ethnicity to divide them despite political affiliations, as the unity of the country should be the driving force behind their daily lives. They were speaking on the debate around states of origin or residency following the ethnic narrative that reared its head in the build-up to the just concluded elections in Lagos State. The report.
Elections in Nigeria have always been contested along religious and ethnic lines. Following the victory of the Labour Party in Lagos during the presidential poll, campaigns around ethnicity reigned supreme days to the governorship election. But legal practitioners in the state said Nigerians should look beyond this sentiment and instead embrace humanity by thinking of how to get the country better and what the incoming government can do to calm frayed nerves. The Chairman Board of Trustees Human Rights Monitoring Agenda, Barrister Lekon Alabi, and his counterpart, Barrister Kabir Akimbolu, speak on the right of citizens to contest for positions as enshrined in the 1999 Constitution and issues of tribal differences.
By virtue of provision of Section 41 of the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as uttered, every Nigerian citizen has right to reside and live in any part of the country without molest, without embarrassment, without being hustled up and down.
Those are the two cities that I know, but I know that in Kaduna State, the freedom that non-indigenous have here, is not, it's next to none. Because Lagos give all the rooms. Go to any sector you see non-indigenous. Under Tinubu, the president-elect, the commissioner for budget or economic planning is a Igbo man.
They both advise residents on how to go about politicking in Lagos State, which they say is unique in Nigeria.
Should be allowed to contest in Kano. A man from Nnewi should be allowed to contest in Kaduna, and Kaduna indigenous should be able to contest in Ibadan. This will be better for all of us because we are saying we are calling for unity of Nigeria. We are saying we are one, we are this, we are that. Those are the ways we can tackle it.
The issue of security was the question that the Nigerians must be asking from the incoming government. How the incoming government is going to address the issue of ASU strike. It's unthinkable for our children to be at home for 8 months. These are the questions that Nigerians are supposed to be asking.
As a state that is heavily populated by Nigerians from every tribe, they advise Nigerians to approach politics in Lagos from the perspective of competence, capacity, and what would-be leaders can offer Nigerians instead of resorting to tribal sentiments.
The senator representing Benue South, Senator Abba Moro, has called on lawmakers to imbibe the culture of purposeful representation. In an exclusive interview in Abuja, the senator speaks on the agenda the 10th Assembly should pursue to make life better for Nigerians. He also speaks on the internal crisis rocking his party, the People's Democratic Party. The report.
Senator Abba Moro defeated his closest rival, Daniel Oje, of the All Progressives Congress to retain his seat in the 10th Assembly representing Benue South. Moro said meaningful representation aided his return to the upper legislative chamber as two of his colleagues from Benue State could not return. According to him, politicians should always make the well-being of their constituency a priority in order to retain the confidence of their people.
I've always been guided by that desire, and the reason why I stay connected with the people most of the time, to feel their pulses, and in ensuring that in my own little way, by whatever is available as a legislator, as a senator, that I deploy them to the service of the people. And I think what you are seeing here as my return is a reward for just being there for the people. And I hope sincerely that God will give me the enablement.
On the current crisis rocking his party, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Senator Moro described the situation as unfortunate, noting that at a time when the party ought to work towards reclaiming people's confidence, the opposition is engaged in unnecessary internal crisis.
Well, what is happening at the moment at the party secretariat is very unfortunate. And somehow, the apparent poor showing of the PDP in the last election was a result of infighting, and like a house divided itself.
And now we have come out of the elections, and efforts are being made towards stabilizing and positioning the party for greater achievements. And don't forget that our presidential candidate and various other candidates of the party are in various courts and tribunals trying to wrest their mandate, apparently stolen by some level of manipulation from the people who claim to have won now. So I think ordinarily that what the party should have been doing right now is to concentrate on getting back the mandates that have been purportedly or allegedly stolen.
Moro is hopeful that the PDP acting national chairman, Umar Damango, will give the party a new direction and mobilize members to key into a new vision. Rashidat Yusuf for Trust TV News.
And ahead of the April 15th Adamawa supplementary election, the Independent National Electoral Commission has vowed to ensure a credible and seamless election that is devoid of rancor in the state. Salis Lawan reports that leaders of major political parties in the state are now crisscrossing the aforementioned 69 polling units where the supplementary election is to be held, with the hope of winning a substantive percentage of votes that can swing victory in their favor. His report.
According to the Electoral Commission, the March 18 governorship election in Adamawa was cancelled due to overvoting. INEC noted that council votes in the election were more than the margin of victory between the incumbent Adamawa State Governor and People's Democratic Party candidate Amadou Fintri and the runner-up Binani of the APC. Few days after the election was declared inconclusive by INEC, the All Progressive Congress governorship candidate Aishatu Binani have alleged that results of 16 local governments were rigged in favor of the incumbent. Both as the supplementary poll draws near, both APC and the PDP are confident of winning the election.
It is a very clear victory for the APC. It is a very, very clear victory. The PDP has lost this election. And we will not step down from that position that we want these, beavers revisited. We want a review of the beavers. Everybody should stay calm. Everybody should continue doing, what they're supposed to do. When the time comes, if we are going in, we will definitely tell our people. And then if we've taken any other option, we will also inform them. So we know, we are still in contact with our people and our supporters, So we believe it's a question of time.
We are doing our best to talk to most of our members to make sure that they go out peacefully and exercise their right by casting their vote, and also to make sure that what they casted was announced by the INEC. So we are just appealing to INEC to make sure that they do justice and fairness to the electorate. We people of Adamawa State, we already make our choice. We tell the whole world, we show the whole world that we vote for PDP, we vote for Amadou Fintri to come out and continue his good work. So the issue of inconclusive is not new to Adamawa State. It's not new to PDP. We have been winning inconclusive, even in 2019. That's why I'm used to say that 2019 is repeating itself in 2023.
On security for the supplementary election, the Adamawa Command of the Nigeria Police urged candidates and their supporters to see the exercise as an election and not war. Avoid inflammatory statements.
We are always proactive and being also very proactive in all that we do. We have designed another security template. We are now re-strategizing to see how we are going to cover these areas, make it conducive, well secured for electorates to go and exercise the processes. So be rest assured that we are planning, and we are planning very well. All we need is safety of lives and properties, and we are going to at least see that much is done in securing these environments.
The Independent National Electoral Commission explained that 42,785 are the number of registered voters in the 69 polling units that the supplementary election will take place, adding that out of the number, 37,706 permanent voter cards were collected. Salis Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
Meanwhile, in Kano State, the governor-elect, Abba Kabir Yusuf, has issued a public advisory to all subsisting and prospective lenders to the current Kano State government not to grant any loan without his consent. The advisory is contained in a statement by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor-elect, Sanusi Dawakin Tofa. The advisory warns lenders, domestic or international, against granting any loan facility to the incumbent Kano State government without the express consent of the incoming administration. The statement said any such loan facility approved and issued to the Kano State government between the date of election and the date of swearing in without the explicit knowledge and consent of the incoming administration will not be honored by the new administration. Meanwhile, Governor Abdullahi Ganduje said the advisory is a practical indication that the incoming leadership has no sense of direction because that kind of advisory is baseless. He accused Yusuf of talking as if he is now the governor of Kano State, explaining that they are approaching the tribunal to challenge his temporary success. The governor adjudged his successor as starting off on the wrong foot by making such speeches. The governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State, Tonye Cole, has stormed the office of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Port Harcourt, demanding the release of the certified true copies of the March 18th governorship election results. The move follows a court order mandating INEC to provide the results. The report.
Cole, who addressed journalists at the INEC office, said despite applications and court injunctions mandating INEC to release the documents, the commission has not availed them with any document. He said the action of the commission has stolen his party's preparations to seek redress at the election tribunal.
I'm not happy at all. We've come to INEC to express our deep frustration at what is going on. Essentially, we are time-bound. We have 21 days from the time that the elections were declared to file. Some of our House of Assembly candidates had their declaration on the 18th, on the day of election. 2 weeks have gone. We've written, we've put in for documents, we've required for INEC to release CTC documents. 2 weeks, nothing. They've not released one single CTC document.
The state APC legal advisor, Dike Ihanyechukwu, said the party would shut down the commission's office on Monday if their demands were not met. Ihanyechukwu wondered why INEC had yet to release the documents, saying the action of the commission is suspicious.
I wonder why INEC, why REC cannot instruct his principal staff here, the HOD operations and OCO to release CTC results. It's our right to demand so. The law empowers us to do so. So why are they delaying it? Why are they delaying it? Because they have connived with certain individuals that they think are powerful in the states, and they are enriching themselves, and they think parties should suffer. They think APC should not challenge the illegality they did at the field. Let me tell you, a few days ago, on record, they invited EOs. Some EOs came here to review their results, to review what they brought from the field. What are they doing?
Tonye Cole was accompanied by his running mate, Innocent Bariko, the state APC chairman, Emeka Becker, and the publicity secretary, Darlington Nwoju.
And moving away from politics, a man who attempted to steal a motorcycle in Kubwa town in Abuja was set ablaze by a commercial motorcyclist on Saturday, leaving him critically injured. The incident happened when Muslim faithful gathered for a late afternoon prayer at the nearby Badr Mosque around Phase 2, Site 2 junction in the satellite town. An eyewitness, Ibrahim Muhammad, said the man ran into their tailoring shop attached to the mosque in an attempt to escape from the mob. Policemen were later mobilized to the scene after the suspect was dragged to a nearby gutter. The man was rushed to the Kubwa General Hospital with life-threatening injuries. Still with us on Trust TV's News Hour. Still ahead, we'll bring you the story of a first-class graduate without a job. Details of this and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV's News Hour. Now let's recap our top stories. Bandits sack village, kill 15 people in Taraba as troops neutralize 5 bandits in Kaduna State. And DSS Police Joint Force arrest Eze Igbo, who threatened to invite IPOB to Lagos. And in other news, a Jigawa High Court, presided over by Justice M.M. Kaugama, has convicted and sentenced Suleiman Bello, Awal Muhammad and Yakubu Muhammad to death by hanging on a 9-count charge of criminal conspiracy, culpable homicide and armed robbery by using firearms. The defendants were alleged to have conspired, attacked and killed one Audusaji of Manda village in Kaugama local government area and made away with his motorcycle. The defendants were also found guilty of abducting one Hadiza Abdullahi of Marma town in Kirikasamma local government area and requested a ransom of 150 million naira. During a raid at the defendants' hideout, 3 AK-47 rifles, 1 GPMG, 9 magazines, 309 live ammunition, 2,070,000 naira cash and a Boxer motorcycle belonging to the late Audusaji were found in the possession of the defendants. The judge, while delivering judgment, held that the prosecution, led by the Attorney General of Jigawa State, Musa Adamu Aliu, had successfully proved the offences of criminal conspiracy to commit culpable homicide and armed robbery, as well as illegal possession of firearms against the first, third and fourth defendants through circumstantial evidence of 5 witnesses that testified before the court and the motorcycle of late Audusaji found in their camp. Meanwhile, a Kano State High Court, presided over by Justice Yusuf Ubali, has sentenced one Samaila Salisu and Aminu Salisu to death by hanging for killing one Ibrahim Al-Hassan. The duo are residents of Magangara village in Kura local government area of Kano State. They burgled the residence of one Ibrahim Al-Hassan with the intention to commit armed robbery and in the process shot him to death. They were arraigned on a 3-count charge including criminal conspiracy, culpable homicide and inciting public disturbance, contrary to sections 97, 221B and 114 of the Penal Code. They pleaded not guilty to the charges slammed against them. He sentenced the duo to death by hanging for culpable homicide and additionally sentenced them to 6 months imprisonment or to pay the sum of 20,000 naira as fine for inciting public disturbance. The court similarly sentenced Samaila and Aminu to 1 year imprisonment or a fine of 20,000 naira. And the driver of a taxi-hailing app, Bolt, Ayu Oromoshele Thomas, who was reported missing in February, has been found dead. The family had appealed to security agencies to hasten investigations into ascertain the whereabouts of their son. The 34-year-old resident of 70 Imole Avenue at Jasa Command in Lagos was booked by an unidentified passenger. His vehicle, a grey-coloured 2005-2006 model Toyota Corolla, was found abandoned the following day. A police patrol team had discovered the vehicle abandoned by the roadside at Ojota in Lagos. An elder brother of the Bolt driver, Ayu Itioshe Godwin, who spoke with Daily Trust, said the matter was first reported at Meiran Police Station before it was escalated to the headquarters of the State Police Command. However, it was gathered on Saturday that the driver's corpse was found and evacuated somewhere around Ketu by the Lagos State Task Force. Now, faulty or broken down vehicles are left unattended to and to gather dust at mechanic workshops in Abuja. Kabir Lawal speaks to motor mechanics on this and how they deal with faulty vehicles that stay long in their workshops. His report.
The number of broken down vehicles because of accident is sometimes an eyesore in a mechanic workshop. Reason often given is that the car owners died or in financial difficulty or non-availability of spare parts. but some faulty vehicles are just beyond repairs. Vehicle mechanics said that most broken down cars are turned into where working tools are stored or some parts taken to fix another car.
The scrap cars mostly caused by owners. Maybe, for example, you did a business of 3 million naira, you got a 3 million contract, they pay you. The first thing you got to look for Mercedes. First, they will not ask questions. Maybe you consult their mechanic, like we have consultants. So when they go to their place of, they will say they want to Mercedes, they want to buy Mercedes. At the end of the day, they will buy Mercedes and they will not add the cost of maintenance. The cost of maintenance is higher than you buying the Mercedes itself.
Then they don't take advice. And so when they see a cheaper car, they'll see the car is very cheap. They'll say, okay, maybe some of the car, the problem in the market is that when they say some car 3 million, they see someone, the other car like 2 million naira or 1.8 million naira in the market. But in terms of maintenance, it's not in the market. So some of them they'll say they will put it for them either Dubai or from any country the car come from. So that's what always keep car in the workshop.
Another reason why broken down vehicles stay long in mechanic workshop is because most do not have second-hand value.
You get a car of 3 million naira, the engine is 700,000. So you drive the car for 1 year or a year and the engine have problem. You come to a mechanic, they want to fix the car. The mechanic, the engine this engine is 700, 800,000, and you don't have money to fix it. The best thing is just you leave the car here. So when they say they will come back, most of them sometimes you don't see them. So the car will be here 2 years, 3 years, you don't see them. They will not come. Except you start asking for the owner of the car, asking to call this thing. Sometimes in most cases we involve the police to help us to investigate. Some people will go and bring car and dump it here. So that's why you see most cases of cars. They will just bring the car and dump it because of the high cost of maintenance of the car.
The problem is that some of them, they don't call mechanics to go and inspect for them. They'll just go to the market by themselves. One of their friends deceive them that the car is good, the car is good. At the end of the day, they'll see, yes, some of them 2 years, they'll buy the car. They'll be scrapped in the workshop or in their house. So what I just advise is that they wanted to buy a car, they should find someone that knows about car very well.
Every year, over 1.5 million tons of steel is gotten from a destroyed or damaged vehicle. On average, 25% of the car body is derived from the recycled steel. Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, many first-class graduates from Nigerian public universities have been said to find it difficult to secure jobs after graduation. Others are not usually allowed to pick up lecturing jobs in the schools they graduated from, as they'll need to secure at least a master's degree. Now, the irony of graduating with flying colors, yet facing the difficulty of securing jobs, is the focus of this report by Usman Balarabe. Let's take a look.
The non-retention of first-class graduates by many of Nigeria's public universities has continued to affect the lives of many of Nigeria's best brains, like Ibrahim Babangida, a first-class graduate who was hoping to work as a lecturer in the university he graduated as one of the best students, but now works as an internet cafe shopkeeper in that same university.
Even though I graduated as the best student from the department, still there is no job for us. So now I currently work as an internet cafe shopkeeper, reporting to the owner of the business, but still I have faith in the future that my dream will be fulfilled, inshallah.
In 2022, the House of Representatives had urged Nigeria's federal ministries, departments and agencies to give automatic job offers to first-class graduates in order to contribute to nation building. Trust TV looked deeply into why first-class graduates from many of Nigerian public universities are not retained, and how will their retention solve many problems of public universities.
The retention of first-class graduates or the best of the brains for every department there will solve the manpower challenges any university will have.
To understand why many first-class graduates with good grades are not retained by the universities they graduated from, a former Vice-Chancellor of National Open University of Nigeria, Professor Abdullah Ubadamu, explains that the federal government's employment embargo is one of the reasons.
Not offering jobs to first-class graduates is not necessarily a policy of the university that they don't want them. It could be because of employment policy. The government has restricted its employment policies now. regardless of whether you have first class or third class, there is a restriction on employment.
How will the retention of first-class graduates contribute to the development of Nigeria's university education? And what is the implication of their no-retention? Let's find out from the National University Commission, NUC, the agency that works to improve on the quality of Nigeria's university education.
First-class graduates are supposed to be retained because university as it is an elitist system, whereby they will be able to help the system grow better because they were trained solidly in the enterprise of knowledge.
As Ibrahim continued to struggle for survival as an internet cafe shopkeeper in the same university, he graduated as one of the best students. His passion to share knowledge with students has continued to be his lifetime ambition as he dedicates time to tutor young students in order to help them excel in their academic endeavors. Usman Bello Balarabe, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're also watching Trust TV's News Hour. The news continues after this break. Just stay with us.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV's News Hour. Right now, let's join Chiamaka Nwafo for business news.
The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, says President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the amendment of the bid round calendar for 2022-2023. The Commission Chief Executive, NUPRC, Benga Komalafe, in a statement on Saturday, said the approval is to accommodate the concerns expressed by both local and international investors over the closeness of the shuttle to the terminal date of the present administration in the country. Komalafe added that the move is geared towards boosting confidence in the transparency and continuity of the 2022-2023 deep offshore oil block mini-bid round process. According to Komalafe, the 2022-2023 deep offshore oil block mini-deep round is progressing in line with the bid round schedule, which has been published as part of the bid round guidelines. The CCE reiterated that the Commission is fully committed to conducting the bid round in a manner that guarantees the achievement of the objectives of the exercise, pointing out that participation is both robust and beneficial to key stakeholders. African Development Bank Group President Akinwumi Adesina says urgent action is needed to reduce the world's dependence on fossil fuels and harness Africa's renewable energy sources. The AFDB president said this at the Berlin Energy Transition Dialogue hosted by the German federal government. While underscoring Africa's success and enormous potential to become a global leader in sustainable development, Adesina highlighted the significant energy challenges millions of Africans still faced. According to him, a report in 2022 revealed that at least 600 million people did not have access to electricity, while 970 million lacked access to clean energy for cooking. He said to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 7 of affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all, Africa must connect 90 million people annually to electricity by 2030. The bank president said the continent must also shift 130 million people from dirty cooking fuels yearly. 5 states account for more than a third of the total domestic debt owed by the subnational governments in the country. The states are Lagos, Delta, Ogun, Akwa Ibom, and Imo. According to the Debt Management Office, the total domestic debt owed by 36 states governments in the Federal Capital Territory increased by 879.50 billion naira last year to 5.337 trillion naira as of December 2022. This is a 16.47% increase from 4.458 trillion naira at the end of 2021. At the total domestic debt, Lagos owed the highest debt of 807.20 billion naira, followed by Delta with a total of 304.24 billion naira. Ogun ranks third with a total debt of 270.45 billion naira, followed by Akwa Ibom and Imo states with a total domestic debt of 219.26 billion naira and 204.22 billion naira respectively. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafo.
Thank you, Chiamaka, for that business update. Meanwhile, the Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, has said that Nigeria and Qatar need to review their visa policy as restrictions on both sides were making it difficult to connect the two countries as expected. Sirika said the rate of returns on investment in Nigeria is 34% and the highest in the world, with a population of 200 million people, which should not be ignored. The minister disclosed this during a courtesy visit of the Chargé d'Affaires of Qatar, Ahmed Mohammed Al Hor, to the ministry in Abuja. In a statement from the head, Press and Public Affairs Ministry of Aviation, or Dutayo Olushi, Sirika opined that Nigeria and Qatar should maintain a sustainable relationship, adding that Nigeria is yearning for investments and is also committed to its policy of ease of doing business for investors. And now for a look at the foreign scene, where U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris on Saturday toured the Panuka farm in Chibombo district of Zambia. The farm outside the capital uses new techniques and technology to boost its vegetable crops. According to a White House communique, the U.S. private sector made over $7 billion in the new commitments after the VP's call for the sector to promote and enhance climate resilience, mitigation and adaptation across Africa. Kamala Harris will return to Washington on Sunday after a week-long trip to 3 African countries. Sudanese leaders have postponed the signing of an agreement planned for Saturday to resume a short-lived democratic transition, an official has said. Amid continued disagreements between military factions, a spokesman for the negotiation process, Khalid Umar Yusuf, said on Saturday via Twitter that military and civilian parties have unanimously agreed to redouble efforts to overcome the remaining obstacle within a few days and pave the way for the signing of a final political agreement on April 6. The signing of the accord was delayed due to lack of consensus on some outstanding issues. Yusuf said earlier in the day a coup in October 2021 led by Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan had derailed the process that began following a 2019 removal of General Omar al-Bashir. Representatives have been negotiating an agreement for weeks. The final part in a 2-phase political process launched in December to set out the terms for reviving the transition to civilian-led rule and democratic elections. And in sports, the Player and Goal of the Month awards in the Nigeria Professional Football League for March has been suspended. The awards will not be doled out due to shortage of fixtures last month. The second stanza of the 2022-23 MPFL season kicked off last weekend after the country's general elections. There were only match days 10 and 11 in March. The award organizers said through a release that both fixtures will be considered alongside MPFL fixtures for April. Enyimba's Chukwuemeka Obioma won the Player of the Month award for February, while Bendel Insurance Manager scooped the Coach of the Month prize. And quickly, before we go, here is a kicker. From Malawi to Nigeria, traditional leaders, midwives, local organizations and governments are conducting door-to-door and community-wide sensitizations to stop the spread of cholera across the continent. Now, in this piece, we bring you some of the efforts of these stakeholders as they work towards reducing, if not eliminating, cholera spread in Africa. Let's take a look.
When water took over this place, flood took over this place, we all relocated from this area. Then when water subsides, we came back. The first thing to do is we look for a machine, that is engine, to draw the water away from the well. Then when we draw the whole water from the well, we start using the water. Then we got a knowledge from this Red Cross people that we used to attend their meeting. They do help the community to do that. Just to count our this thing. We treat the water, we pour it inside the well. Then after two days or 3 days, when we get money to purchase something.
We educate some of our women on how to boil their water before drinking. And those people that are able to access the water disinfectants, we educate them on how to use them. And thank God for the innovation of the borehole in the facility. Many households in the community were able to get access to good drinking water.
In the areas of intervention, we usually do a lot of sensitization, advocacy visits, and so on and so far to so many communities. And like the last case where we had this flood, we know we're going to have probably challenges of children being affected and even the old people living in communities, especially when it comes to water and sanitation program. We advise them, we sensitize them on the WASH program, especially the aspect of water purification.
And with that, we wrap up Trans TV's News Hour for tonight. For more news, you can subscribe to watch us live on YouTube and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Have a good evening.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.